then you're going to hit cameras when we're ready, but not yet.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
It's time! It's Sunday, June 6, 2021. This is the Church of MMA podcast. My name is Mason Knight.
I'm getting into Mars.
And this is episode 77, Rozenstruik versus Sakai recap. After that, we jump into some MMA news, and then we talk about UFC 263 preview show with a fight companion coming next week. You know how we do it here. But before all that, got to talk about our social media pages. Go and follow us on our social media pages. IG is where Tabor keeps up. He drops funny memes. He makes you guys laugh. You guys know the deal. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. We can get a community page. We can start doing polls and more interactions with you guys, which would be pretty cool. And go, if you want to support the podcast, you can also go get a Teespring shirt, The Church of MMA, the #1 fight fan podcast. That is true to the core. Trust me, we've been verified through many sources. We are the #1 fight fan podcast in the world.
Who verified you?
Let's not talk about that.
Okay.
Let's not go there. But, you know, we do have to talk about something very sombering this week. Tabor, as you can tell, is no longer with us. So, he's
in the chat, though.
He is in the chat.
So his ghost is here.
So his ghost
He's
is
always
still here.
with us
Tabor,
somehow.
You're always with us. We love you. May you have, you know, whatever. Peace. #1 in my heart. Yes, absolutely, Tabor. Absolutely. And I guarantee no one is going to watch this live stream because it is so early in the morning. They're probably like, what in the hell are you guys doing? But yeah, no, we're here. We are live. Look, guys, long story short, I signed up for this softball league like a year and a half ago. And then, you know, they're like, hey, are you playing this week? And I'm like, oh, shit. So we got to kind of go to you'll never get rid of me.
That's just terrifying.
Yeah, that is terrifying, Tabor. You scared the hell out of me. All right, so let's jump into this, guys. Let's talk about Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Augusto Sakai. Gideon, I want to keep calling you fucking Tabor. It's so weird.
It's gonna be awful.
We have to at least you know acknowledge your presence.
Yes.
So
I am here.
how is it? How is it sitting in this chair, not being in the producer chair?
I'm a little nervous. Big shoes to fill. You asked me to do the introduction at first. I panicked a little bit. It's hard. Tabor has the introduction nailed.
He's got it nailed. And he's even created new months.
Yeah.
April 1st.
April 1st. That was a good one.
April 1st. You know what? Like with Maple, I would hope that in the month of April, they give away free maple bars.
Ooh, or just maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Yeah,
that's it.
The Canadians would love that.
Love it, eh?
GSP is coming down. He's like, give me my maple syrup.
I think that's a different type of Canadian.
It is. He's just French Canadian.
Yeah, so
it's
they
very,
just hate America.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Augusto Sakai. This will be off the rails. This will be a lot of fun. Tabor is actually going to call in. The real reason Tabor is not here is because the man is on his deathbed. He I just can't take this seriously.
I think it's pneumonia, but
it's pneumonia, absolutely. And I said, you sick mother, and I mean literal sick motherfucker, stay home. I don't want to get pneumonia.
He tried to get here.
He tried to get here.
He was in here. He was going to be in here just coughing and hacking.
You should have saw the group chat. This guy was like, no, I could show up. It's totally fine.
It'd be all right.
Like, no, I don't want pneumonia. My guy, please. So against his will, we actually forced him to stay home on lockdown. I said, I don't want pneumonia. Neither do you, right?
No.
We got family. We got
really.
friends. A little on the selfish side, I'd say, wanting to come in. But that is how committed he is to this podcast in all seriousness. So he will be calling in later. It'll be like a Ray Longo kind of minute where he calls in, except it's...
yells.
Yeah, and just yells.
Yeah.
He's like, you motherfucker.
Fuck you guys. You can't replace me.
Show up. All right, Jairzinho. I've tried to start this show 3 times, but it's just too much fun. So yeah, that's why Tabor's gone, but he is in the chat, so feel free to chat away with him. He's on his personal account too, so it is what it is.
Yeah, he'll fight. He'll fight everybody. Ooh, I always forget we got bumpers.
We got bumpers.
Ooh,
yeah,
which one's the fart button, just in case?
That would be this one.
Nice.
Yep, the dark blue one.
Okay,
so.
good. I just need to remember that for when Chris Weidman's brought up.
Who?
My balls was hot.
Fuck, that's the wrong one. Never mind.
God damn it. Just start the review.
All right, here we go. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Augusto Sakai. What a fun fight for as long as it lasted. Jairzinho Rozenstruik getting the knockout in the last second of round number 1. Gideon, what do you think about it?
I mean, it was a fun fight for a card that didn't have a lot of them. I mean, It was a relatively boring card. I kind of paid attention halfway through it. There wasn't a whole lot going on.
No, it definitely wasn't the most entertaining card. I'll give you that for sure. A lot of heavyweight fights, but dude, even then, I was just like, it was kind of boring.
And it was slow. Like it just felt like the card lasted too long. Like it really dragged on. It felt like every walkout dragged on.
Yep.
Sometimes they got to speed this shit up, especially for a card like this where they know not a whole lot of people are going to be checking it out. Let's just make this shit as fast as possible. Like, you're not going to get a walkout. You're sprinting out. Like, Dana's chasing them with a taser and shit just to get them in the octagon. Honestly, it could have gone to the second round. But when Sakai stands up,
and he's like wobbly.
Obviously wobbly, good stoppage. Where does Rozenstruik go from here?
Well, that's the biggest question that remains. I mean, maybe a guy like Curtis Blades, who's number 4 sitting right now, because Alexander Volkov's already got a fight. He's fighting Cyril Gane, if I remember.
I believe
correctly.
so, yeah.
And then Derek Lewis obviously getting the shot against Ngannou.
Allegedly.
And Stipe is in the wings. So the only fight that makes sense is Curtis Blades. To me, I mean, he's not gonna fight down. He already fought Augusto Sakai at number 9. So.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, he did have 2 straight losses. Now bouncing back, coming on this win now. I guess he didn't have 2 straight losses. I guess he lost I guess he beat Dos Santos and then lost. But nonetheless, yeah, you got to go Curtis Blades here. That's my opinion. What do you think?
It's got to be Blades. I don't think there's any. I just don't really think there's any other options. Honestly, it just sucks to be a heavyweight right now.
Yeah,
it just does, because you know for a fact that there's no chance of getting a shot. At least for the next 2 years, if your name's not Stipe, John Jones, or maybe Derek Lewis.
Well, I gotta be honest, I was impressed with Augusto Sakai's figure. It looked like he had cut some belly weight. You know, because he was a big boy. He was a Dana White Contender Series guy, and he had a lot to lose. I thought he looked in the best shape that he's ever looked in. And he's one of those fighters, too, that constantly impresses me. Every time he goes out there, I'm like, he's not going to get this win, not going to get this win. But he's just been quickly rising through the rankings. So to have this setback, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal for him. You know, obviously not doing what Walt Harris did and losing 3 straight. That's going to be rough. We'll talk about that next. But I don't think Augusto Sakai's stock drops that much. I think he's still right in the mix, man. Still in that top 10. I wouldn't mind a guy like Chris Dawkins. Marcin
I was going to say Tibera would be the next one.
Win, against Walt Harris. I think that would make the most sense. And I still think Augusto Sakai has got a very promising future. I think it was a minor setback, and he just got caught, man. That's the thing with Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Like, when that guy throws, it takes 1 shot. He just clipped him, but he hit him right in the temple.
It looks like he barely landed, but where did he landed? I mean, it must have. Was that the shot that busted him open too?
Because I think it was the follow-up shot on the ground that busted him, because that first shot, it was that right hand, and it just clipped him, but it was right in the side
it dropped him. He hit the canvas hard.
He punched him right on that soft spot. I mean, that'll especially getting hit with a guy like Rozenstruik. So, I don't think his stock drops that much. I think I like that Marcin Tibera matchup. I think that's the perfect one to make.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I obviously, I don't think it hurts how far he can go in the heavyweight division. It's definitely a setback for now. And I think a fight with Tibera would also, be a good test for Tibera too. This is a good stepping stool for him to move up a little bit.
Yep.
Because right now, where was Tibera ranked before the Walt Harris fight?
11.
11?
Yep.
Okay, so Sakai will probably drop to 10.
Yeah, maybe. He might not.
Maybe not. He might go to 9. So it's still, for Tibera, it's still a fight that's going to be right there for him.
Yep.
So it makes sense. You want to move on to Walt Harris?
Yeah, let's do Walt Harris. This, Walt Harris is just one of my favorite guys in the UFC. And obviously, like, we all know the story of the tragedy that happened in his family. And, like, I feel my heart goes out to this guy, because it's like, And I feel like it's the constant thing that happens time and time again with Walt Harris. He goes out there, he's got a flurry of punches. He expends all of his energy in the first round, and you think, yeah, he's going to get the finish here. He's going to get the finish. And then it doesn't come to fruition. He ends up getting finished himself. It just sucks, man. It sucks, after all this guy's gone through, to lose 3 straight after losing his daughter. It's just, man, it's tough. But nonetheless, let's talk about Tibera's chin. Goodness gracious. Was he not taking shots from hell? And he just continued. And you could tell Mark Smith, his eyes were getting all big. Like, he was like, oh, damn, I might have to call this. And somehow he weathered the storm, man. He looked great.
I have no idea how he weathered the storm. I mean, Walt Harris landed such big shots. And then those knees he started landing in the clinch that ended up leading to him get taken down, which was upsetting. I mean, just all those shots that he landed in such a barrage within 2.5 minutes. Yeah. You got to think, I mean, any other person gets put out. Any other person. Sure. I mean, just his that pure power. But it does suck for Walt Harris because this might be his last fight in the UFC.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this off air, and I definitely don't disagree, but I think they're going to give him one more because he is still a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
And the people he lost to was Alistair Overeem and then Alexander Volkov, which Alexander Volkov is, might be a number 1 contender if he goes out there and beats Cyril Gane.
Very true.
Alistair Overeem, that's one thing. But Marcin Tybura, though I think he's got great potential and capability in the heavyweight division, and I'm definitely not counting this guy out, it was a step back in competition. Yeah. So that's where the worry lies for us as far as Walt Harris. But I think Dana gives him one more. I do. I don't think he's done yet. He is 37 years old, as we talked about, earlier. But I want him to work on a few things. And I know he wants to go out there and get the KO, but he's got to not expend so much energy in that first round. I mean, we saw it with Volkov, we saw it with Alistair, and it's one of those things where it's like you gotta, especially as a heavyweight, like you gotta conserve that energy for 3 rounds.
I mean, that's the way he got finished. That's the worst part. Mm-hmm. That's it. He just ran out of gas. He got taken down, and that was it. Like, he just did not have enough in the tank to get back up. Yeah. And Tibera's a big dude, so having him riding you on the back, and then he just flattened about. Yeah, it was just dropping haymakers, and there was nothing Harris could do. I felt like Mark Smith gave him every opportunity. He gave him way too long. He probably could have stopped it sooner if we're being, because there was no fight back. He was barely moving his head. He was trying to do just a little block it with his hand, but he had nothing left. No. He was absolutely gassed. It sucks. I mean, it does, especially if this leads to him getting cut, because, I mean, where do you go from there? I guess you got to think Bellator won PFL, but does any of that really? I mean, I guess Bellator would be the one. I'm sure Bellator would take him. Oh yeah, Bellator would take Walt They'd take Harris. Everybody. Yeah. I don't think there's. But I don't think necessarily like Walt Harris is past his prime. No, I don't either. Deserve to be in the UFC. Well, he looked great those first 2.5 minutes. Yeah. It's just a cardio problem where it's like, okay, you can't just have 2.5 minutes. Yep. Because if you can't finish them, this will happen. Well, and that's literally what I was saying when I was watching this fight and he was throwing. I was like, Walt, and I was like talking to the TV. I was like, Walt, pick your shots, pick your shots, pick your shots, because again, I didn't want to see this guy gas out. He was the guy I was rooting for the hardest on this card. Yeah. And then, like, when he was just throwing all those haymakers, I'm like, pick your shots, Walt. You're going to gas out. And that is what happened, man. It just, again, it sucks, but it is what it is. It is what it is. As far as who he would take on next, I mean, Marcin Tybura was number 11. Walt Harris was 8. This is 3 straight losses in a row. I mean, you might want to take an unranked guy. Greg Hardy? Greg Hardy's got to fight. I think he's fighting on the pay-per-view this week. Or is it's the card fight week. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's international. No, I think it is. I think he's on the card because at one point he was like listed as the co-main for the Conor fight. Yeah, exactly, which was wild. That's not going to happen. That should not be the co-main. If it is, though, the UFC doesn't give a fuck, and they're just making Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Gilbert Burns needs to be that co-main. Oh my God, how disrespectful to those two if that's not the co-main. I'd be so pissed. I'm like, you're putting Greg Hardy. Didn't Greg lose his last fight? What are we fucking doing here? What are we doing here? He's got too many guns to put him anywhere else. All right, let's move on to the Roman Dolidze Moreno Staropoli fight. And this was just basically a domination.
no disrespect to these fighters, but it just wasn't the most entertaining fight. A lot of fence. They were up against the fence the whole time. I mean, one round was literally just positioning the whole time up on the fence.
Yeah.
Like they weren't throwing strikes or anything.
This is where the card kind of lost me, if we're being honest.
Well, in this fight, we're going to glaze through real fast because there wasn't much to it. I mean, Roman Dolidze just fucking dominated the fight from start to finish. Won all 3 rounds on all 3 judges' scorecards. But we should talk about church coin bets. So Tabor took Rozenstruik real quick, bet 500, and he won there. And then I bet 2,000 on Rozenstruik, won there. And then Tabor put 500 on Harris, lost. I put 1,000 on Harris and lost. So let's talk about the Dolidze fight. 200, Tabor put 200 and won that one. And then I put 500 and won that. So now we're caught up on church coins. Now we got to talk about the fight of the night. Okay, because I'm just going to skim through this. Santiago Ponzinibio versus Miguel Baeza. This is top 10 fight of the year so far.
Oh my God, what a that third round was insane. Talk about leaving it all in the octagon. Like, that's what Dana's talking about when he says, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Ironically, they did. They couldn't finish one another, but
they tried. They threw everything possible. I mean, that last 15 seconds, they're literally like leaning on each other, just throwing as best as they could. I mean, I loved it. I thought that was the most entertaining fight. In this one, definitely deserved performance of the night, but I believe Jairzinho Rozenstruik won performance of the night.
I believe
But this got to be fight of the night.
Absolutely had to be. I mean,
there wasn't anything that was close to it.
Nothing even came close. Like, nothing even scratched the surface of what this fight was. For 3 rounds, it was absolute mayhem. Baeza wins round 1. You could have argued he could have won round 2 if it not for that last 2 minutes of Santiago coming in hard.
Well, he was just picking his shots better in round 2. So round 1, Miguel Baeza was attacking that leg, man. Just
chopping him down.
Calf kick. You saw it swelling up, and you saw Ponzinibio was like slipping all over the canvas. He couldn't get his footing.
Well, every time he threw that lead jab, he fucking chopped that front leg every time.
Every fucking time, dude. And that's painful. That
absolutely
sucks, man. Like, Ponzinibio was really struggling with that. But again, it goes to the testament of Ponzinibio and being the veteran that he is. Coming off that loss, that devastating knockout loss after taking 3 years off of fighting and then to come back and to get knocked out in the first round, there was a lot on the line for Ponzinibio in this fight. And to take on an undefeated guy like Miguel Baeza,
a young up-and-coming killer.
And a guy who just whooped your ass in the first round. Yeah. I mean, not whooped your ass, but I mean, definitely beat you in round 1. And then Ponzinibio just switched the game plan up. His striking looked great. He just looked phenomenal. Yeah. And the fact that they just left it all in the cage, man, this was an awesome fight of the night for me. And these two deserve a lot of respect. And you know what? This is one of those scenarios where Miguel Baeza's stock doesn't go down for me. Ponzinibio, let's not fucking forget, before he took that 3-year hiatus, was number 3 in the world.
Yeah.
Was number 3 in the rankings. So, I mean, the fact that Miguel Baeza went toe-to-toe for 3 rounds with Ponzinibio says a lot. So, I am so excited about Miguel Baeza's future. His stock doesn't go down for me. In those rare scenarios, even coming off a loss, it actually goes up.
No, I mean, this only propels him, because this only shows Dana what he's capable of in there with some of the absolute best. Like, this dude can go toe-to-toe with anybody. It's a tough fight to lose for him, considering the fact I do think it was very winnable in that 3rd round.
Yeah.
But, like you said, I don't think I can argue too much about it. Like, his stock does not go down. If anything, it goes up, because now Dana knows he's a reliable guy that's going to go in there and fucking bang. Yep. And honestly, I would love to see him get back in there soon. So, what do you think? Who's next for these two?
That's a tough question. I mean, Miguel Baeza, again, I was literally just talking about how his stock doesn't go down, but you got to give Ponzinibio a ranked guy.
Absolutely.
You have to now at this point, especially after that fight. And honestly, I don't necessarily want to throw a top 15 guy to Miguel Baeza, especially coming off the loss, but Ponzinibio, you absolutely have to. So I know I bring this name up a lot, but it's like, I feel like he's the only guy who doesn't have a fight. Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad has a fight. Sean Brady has a fight. Chimaev Chimaev would be a fun fight. Hamzat?
Yeah.
Fight. But I don't think that'll happen. I mean,
No.
Robbie Lawler is number 14 right now. Ling Jing Liang. But I think he's also got a fight. Jeff Neal just fought. Damian Maia's got a fight.
I would like to see Ponzinibio fight the winner of Damian Maia and Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah, okay.
Because I feel like that's kind of the perfect step up for him.
But you got to feel bad if Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad wins that fight after fighting Leon Edwards and having the eye poke, and then to take on Damian Maia and beat number 9, and then to get an unranked fighter. If he does,
It sucks. It does suck for Bilal, but on the other side of it, it's not like Ponzinibio is not it's not like he's a name. It's not like nobody knows of him.
Right.
I mean, we know of him. It's hard to say for casuals, but we're just talking about us.
Right.
I think it makes sense that way because he needs a step up in competition. And a lot of these dudes, like I don't really want to see the Robbie Lawler fight. Maybe Jeff Neal, I guess.
Hands of Steel Neal after coming off that loss.
Yeah. I mean, off the loss would make sense.
Yeah.
But for Baez, I don't know if there's a guy you would want to throw him in the ranked division, unless maybe you want to build him off of Robbie Lawler a little bit, potentially. But
yeah, I would like to see that fight. That'd be an interesting fight. But, obviously they're not going to throw Baeza, a ranked guy, coming off a loss. But Jeff Hands of Steel Neal coming off that loss actually makes the most sense, I would say.
absolutely.
Yeah, outside of Robbie Lawler. But again, I feel like I throw that name out all the time because when's the last time Robbie's fought? It's been a while, man.
Was it the last fight, the Colby fight, or did he have one after that?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't even know.
He's still in the rankings, and I can't even remember the last time this guy fought.
Because the last fight I remember was him just being outclassed and pretty much disrespected.
Oh, yeah, duh. That was the Lawler-Magny fight, August 29, 2020. So it's been a full year since he fought. But you were right. He fought Covington August 3rd, 2019.
Oh, okay.
And then, so he's fighting like once a year.
At this point.
And it's like, he's lost 2 straight and he's still in the rankings.
He's lost 3 straight. He lost
he
to Askren before that, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. Ugh.
Maybe give him one young killer and then let him be on his way. Yeah.
Honestly,
that's the UFC way.
I want Dana White to reward these fighters who leave it all in the cage. And a guy like Miguel Baeza, who's a stud up-and-comer, throw him to a guy who's on a skid. I mean, I hate doing this, feeding these young savages, to these vets, but that is the way the sport works.
Yep.
And if you were to give Miguel Baeza the fight against Robbie Lawler, one, it's really going to show, all right, Robbie, are you still here? Can you still compete? Now you're getting an unranked guy. It makes sense. Or two, if Miguel Baeza goes out there and beats Robbie Lawler, then that should tell you that, hey, this guy should be ranked. This guy should be a top 15 welterweight.
It's the perfect proving ground for both guys, realistically. I mean, if you're Robbie Lawler, you're looking at this as, okay, I just beat this young, hungry lion. Like, I can still go. I still got some in the tank. For Baeza, you come out and you show out against Robbie Lawler, the former champ.
Yep.
And you doing it convincingly. I mean, now we're talking about you getting in a top 10. You're that 8, 9, 10, 11 range. I mean, all it does is that's a huge building block for Baeza. So I'd be totally in to see that fight.
When I think right now in this division too, you're starting to see some of these guys on the tail end of their career. Obviously, Damian Maia being 42, 43, you got Robbie Lawler, and these guys are all in the top 15 rankings, man. So eventually these guys are going to have to leave, retire, do what they got to do, and then you're going to see guys like Miguel Baeza start becoming ranked in this welterweight division. I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for his future. Stock doesn't go down for me. What a great fight, and deservedly so. I hope they got those bonuses.
God, I hope so. Did they? So are the bonuses raised forever now, or is it still? Or did they raise it for one card?
I don't give a fuck.
Just one card.
Okay.
this guy ain't. There's even with inflation and everything going on, he ain't.
Yeah,
he's
he
not,
was like,
he's not raising those bonuses, Jack.
no. Those bonuses are good enough. Oh,
Yeah.
Dana, you cheap fuck.
Well, moving on to the middleweight division, let's talk about the Dusko to Torvik versus Gregory Rodriguez fight. Again, another one of those fights that was kind of one-sided, kind of went just the way of Gregory Rodriguez. Yes.
This was boring as hell.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
It was boring as hell.
Super boring. I really wasn't even that invested into this fight. It wasn't.
There we go.
There you go. I used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't the most entertaining fight, but,
It is what it is.
sometimes you get that. All right, Montana De La Rosa versus, actually, Torvik, 200. Tabor bet 200, lost that, and then I put 200 on Torvik, lost that as well. So Montana De La Rosa versus Arani Lipski. This was pure and utter domination on Montana De La Rosa's part. Holy shit. First round just took her down, dominated. And then the second round, she's dropping strikes from hell. Lipski's face was all bloody to hell. Did you see this fight?
No, I did not.
It was just pure in domination. And Montana De La Rosa just crushed her, man. Just absolutely crushed her. And that's basically how that fight went. Pretty self-explanatory there.
Tough card. You can see why this one wasn't on like ESPN. You can see why they didn't really do a whole lot of advertising for this one. They were like, we're just going to throw this in front of one of the biggest pay-per-views we plan on having all year.
Yeah, it wasn't, I know. I feel like we keep going back to that, but it is the truth, man. It's just, it wasn't the most entertaining. Outside of that Ponzinibio fight, like it just wasn't that good of a card. But we do have UFC 263 next week, which we'll talk about very soon. So let's just jump in to MMA news. All right. Paulo Costa out of the Cannonier matchup. And, of course, your boy Kelvin Gastelum steps in because that is what this man does. He steps in and takes these big opportunity fights. We just saw that with Robert Whittaker as well, taking on that. But Paulo Costa, man, he came out and said basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, this isn't verbatim, but was basically like, these YouTube boxers are making the UFC look bad. I'm not getting paid enough money, and I didn't even sign this contract to begin with. I am not fighting August 21st. Now, I'm on the side of the fighters. Okay, I'll start by saying that. I do believe these guys got to start getting paid more. Again, as I say, with inflation and everything else going on, these guys deserve more money. And not only that, but they put their lives out on the line every time, and it's not hyperbole. So I am on the side of the fighters here. But I am not on the side of the way that Paulo Costa went about this because, dude, this fight has been announced for weeks. For weeks. Had you had heard, the first inkling you heard that, you're fighting Jared Cannonier August 21st, you should have immediately came out and said, hey, I never signed that contract. That's not true. Negotiations have not been confirmed. But this guy waited for weeks on end. I mean, we're in June now. We're like 8 weeks away from, actually probably closer to 10 or 11 weeks away from this fight. Like, dude, you should have said something earlier. And that's where I have a problem with Paulo Costa and how he went about this,
Yeah, it's tough because on one side, like, you do understand where he's coming from. Yeah, obviously everybody agrees that fighters should be paid. And like Jake and Logan Paul just harping on that, and we're going to get to the Paul brothers here in MMA news, but it proves a lot of points that a lot of people have made prior. A lot of MMA columnists have proved this point that fighters are drastically underpaid. But to just does news not circulate in Brazil? He's from Brazil, right? Paulo Costa? They just don't get news? Because like you said, like the fight's been announced for weeks.
Yep.
Weeks.
And I feel like it was kind of this, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a show, to be like, oh yeah, we don't get paid enough. Therefore I'm not fighting on this card. And it's like, dude, like, yeah, you can't do that. I just don't think some of these fighters, they got to have like a manager or something to run their show. Like John Jones, finally hired a guy to negotiate for him. That's the same thing, because Paul is fucking dumb. All right, the guy is chiseled. He's a great fighter and all that, but he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, folks. I mean, come on. When you come out and be like, oh, well, I had a bottle of wine, that's why I lost to Israel. He's not a good marketer, He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So it's just like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, do you think this is going to help your relationship with the UFC? Do you think this is what is going to get you paid more?
It's not. It literally makes no sense. It makes no sense to come out, especially when the fight has been announced. Like, UFC on their website has promoted this fight.
Yep.
So now you're doing this? Like, you didn't know you were underpaid beforehand? Like, you should have known the entire time you were underpaid. You were fine with it the last time. Good for Gastelum for stepping in and taking the fight.
You got to feel...
Wait, hold on. Tabor got something for us. If he never signed it, it's super scummy to announce it to pressure him to sign the contract. So do we know if... Like, how does this work? So he was supposed to sign it, and then he didn't sign it.
There was probably a verbal agreement, my guess.
Oh, okay. That's
probably because that's a lot of the times what happens. There's verbal agreements, and then they'll post and announce, but nothing had been signed yet. But again, I keep going back to that. I get that. Like, I guess you shouldn't announce it, but I guarantee Paulo Acosta verbally agreed to the fight.
Yeah.
And then saw this whole boxing shit and was like, oh, well, I never actually signed the fight. I should be getting paid more. It's like, well, again, if you verbally agree, or if you knew about the fight beforehand, you got to call it out right away. Don't wait for this opportune moment where these boxers come out and say some shit. Because all I'm saying, and I'm not saying I'm not on the side of the fighter here, but it's not the right way to go about it. It's not the right way to do business. In order to do business, you have to get along with the people paying you. That would be like going up to your boss every day and getting in his face and being like, you don't pay me enough. You're a loser. You're an idiot. I never signed the contract. Like, do you think your boss is going to like you when you turn into a Karen? No, you have to go about it strategically and smart. That would be like going to your superior and being like, hey man, can I get paid more? You know, working with a middleman, a manager, which is finally what John Jones is doing after 20 years in the UFC.
It only took him terrible contracts for the last
figure it out
12 years for him to be like, you know what?
And again, on the side of the fighter, I think they should be getting paid more, but you got to go about it the right way. Have a middleman, but don't come out and do this kind of stuff because it's only going to tarnish your relationship with the UFC and with Dana White. And you don't want to do that. Historically, it has never worked out well for a fighter. Tell me one fighter that doesn't get along with Dana White who has ever gotten good treatment. That man runs the show. You got to get on his good side. It is what it is. Like, you can't do it. You can't continue to come out and say inflammatory things. It's not going to go your way. As much as I'm on the side of the fighter, you can't do it. You got to be more strategic than that.
Connor's the only guy.
Yeah, Connor, well, fuck. That's because Dana makes tens of millions of dollars on Connor fights. So.
Which is crazy. All right. But back to the Paulo thing. It sucks. It sucks for everybody because this is such a good fucking fight. And it's kind of the perfect fight for this division right now. I mean, Costa versus Cannonier is really right where this division should be. Winner is easily the next contender. So this all makes sense. And for Paulo, I don't know who said something to him. So it had to be a manager, or he just watched one of these clips that the Paul brothers put out and then decided to go rogue. Somebody should have told him this is a terrible way to do business.
Well, and as you just brought up so well, is he's number 2 in the world. He knew Robert Whittaker was going to get the next shot after this Marvin Vittori fight that's going to happen next week, right? So it's like, dude, you put yourself in perfect alignment to get the next title shot coming off. If you were to go out there and beat a guy like Jared Cannonier, you would have got the next title shot. If you had just sucked it up for one fight, you could be then fighting for the belt again and fighting Israel Adesanya, which is what you wanted to do all along.
Yeah.
So to pull out of this fight makes no sense strategically. And that's what sometimes I feel like these guys have short-sighted vision. Instead of like looking at the future and the potential and go, okay, I got to get through maybe another year of bullshit. I got to win this fight, not get paid enough. But when I have that belt, I'm the one who negotiates, or my manager negotiates on my behalf because I am the champion and and I'm going to get championship money.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way you got to look at it. And the fact that now he's pulling out of Jared Cannonier, number 4, who the fuck is he going to fight? He's going to either get pulled out of the rankings if he doesn't sign a fight soon, or they're never going to throw this guy a bone again. So they'll be throwing him guy like Uriah Hall, and Edmund Shabazian, 8 and 10. They're not going to give him a top contender. And now, because he screwed this fight up, now it's going to take him years to ever get another title shot, because it's not like you deserve a title shot. I mean, come on, dude. Israel Adesanya dominated you and then humped you in the octagon.
That's fucking disrespectful.
So disrespectful. And honestly, that was a real shit move. But nonetheless, got humped in the octagon. And it's like, dude, at some point, like you gotta be able to just take this fight, get through it, believe and trust in your capabilities, and then get that championship fight and that championship money. That's kind of where I sit with Paulo Costa. Like, again, I'm on the side of the fighter. I know it doesn't sound like that. I think they should get paid more, but you gotta have long vision and not this short vision for finances and the way to get paid. You know, I don't know. That's just what I think. And then, like, Paulo Costa was saying, like, he wasn't getting main event money, but and again, I don't know the contract negotiations. I don't know how they worked, but if it's a main event fight, you should be getting paid main event money, and I guarantee he is. So I think that, I don't know if that,
maybe his gripe
kind of sounds
is
like fabrication. I think it's how much he's getting paid that he doesn't like. It's not he's not getting paid for main event money.
He's getting main event money. He wants more main event money.
Yes.
Which it makes sense, especially if you're a guy as good as Paulo Costa. Anybody could promote this shit out of Paulo Costa.
Absolutely.
As long as if he stopped talking.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you hurt yourself. And to come out and shit on the UFC's chest and be like, I'm not fighting. I don't know why you even promoted this fight. So now you make Dana look stupid on fucking national TV that has been ran everywhere. You're really just shooting yourself in the foot. And I think that's really all we have to say about it. I mean, at this point, if Cannonier comes out and starches Gastelum, he gets the fight after Whitaker, and it's not close.
Yep.
And Costa will kind of sit around and wait until either they force him to sign a contract or they just let him go, which I don't know if the UFC would ever do, but something has to shake out of this.
As far as contract-wise, I don't know where he's sitting at contracts or how many fights he has left on his contract. But if this guy never fights and if he's able to get out of his contract, you know, an organization like Bellator, PFL, like all these organizations would love to have a guy like Paulo Costa.
Oh my God. Well, he's probably the second most talented dude in that division. I mean, behind Izzy for sure. But when it comes to just pure talent and like just having the most open avenue for success, he's on it. Like, he's got every tool to be one of the most elite middleweights in the world.
Oh, for sure. He's a human specimen. I mean, take one look at that guy, and it's literally like a sculpture from the Greek gods. You know how they used to do that?
Oh, he's got a body on him.
Yeah,
he's bodied up.
He's bodied up, that's for sure.
He definitely looks better than we do.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty easy to do these days. So, I mean, Augusto Sakai looks better than me. So, let's move on to the next piece of MMA news. Aljamain Sterling says he will be back to 100% training by July 15th, which is pretty good news because he had his neck surgery in April. And I know one of the biggest concerns on this podcast was the fact that, you know, he won the belt. And I say one in quotes because, you know, it was a DQ, it was illegal, but he didn't actually win the fight. And our biggest concern was he was going to be out for 9 months, 9 to 12 months. He wasn't going to be able to defend the belt against Petr Yan. But saying that he's getting back to 100% training by July 15th, we could be looking at a scenario where if he's 100% July 15th, he could fight before the end of this year.
Yeah, October, November would be the ideal for him. Obviously, Petr Yan's the fight for that. I don't think that's even in question. I think that has to be ran back immediately. Absolutely. It's good. It's good for Aljo to get back in there to prove that he's the champion. It's good for Petr Yan, who's been trying his best to trash talk people. Maybe stop. It's not for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, certain guys, it's just like, I get what you're doing, but you're not Connor, so maybe...
Right, maybe tone it down a bit. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
But hey, he's trying to get his name out there.
I get it. I like it. I understand what they're doing, but the bantamweight division is currently on hold until Aljo comes back.
Basically.
And here's the thing. There's so many contenders right now at 135. I mean, 135 is stacked, especially with TJ coming back, Sandhagen, Rob Font. We just saw him beat Cody. I mean... 135 has killers ready, waiting to go. And I'm excited for it. I mean, somehow Aldo's still in the top 5.
I know. I don't know.
I'm not really sure why.
He actually moved up and Cody went down.
One.
Yeah.
When was the last time he won a fight?
No, he just won a fight.
He just won. He just won one. Yep. Never mind. We're
So
good.
he's still winning these days. We got to put some respect on Jose Aldo. Yeah, he beat Chito Vera pretty decisively.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's good to
And
see
in all
Aldo coming
fairness,
back.
I thought he won against Marlon Moraes too.
Yeah, but we've had this argument before. This is never, we're
never going to solve this.
No, never, ever, ever. Now, it's good for Aljo to be back. Hopefully he does fight this year. Hopefully it's not one of those things where, yeah, I'm 100% to train, but I don't want to fight till next year.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, fuck off, bro.
Under the situation, under the circumstances, you absolutely have to take this fight before the end of the year, especially if you're coming out publicly and saying in the 7th month of the calendar year that you're going to be training 100%. Then the most you need is 3 months, 4 months. 4 months. 4 months. So even, November, December slated.
Yeah, and that's perfect. That would work great for everybody, and that keeps the division kind of moving because Sandhagen and TJ is at the end of July.
July 24th, yep.
So that'll be good. And then the winner of that, just in case they're going to do that Peter Yan fight, a number 1 contender fight between Rob Font and the winner of TJ and Corey Sandhagen. Put it on the same card, let them go to war. I mean, really, you can have a little tournament right now, and it makes perfect sense. So the timing works great for Aljo to come back as long as he does defend this year, and we don't have to hear, well, you know what, I'm not really ready.
Right, because if he starts doing that kind of shit, bro, it's not going to go well over with the fans. It's not going to go over well with the UFC. But the fact that, but I think he's a man of his word. I think he will fight this year. I think we're gonna see him probably fight October, November.
Tabor says he's still a clown. I agree, Tabor. Tabor's still fucking trash.
I still like Aljamain. I like Aljo. But it is what it is. Okay, so let's talk about this. Tabor's going to kill us for this.
Yeah, I know. He said he didn't want to do it.
He said he didn't want to do it, but you know what? You're not on the show this week. Okay, Floyd Money Mayweather says he wants to train Tyron Woodley for the Jake Paul fight. And if you're Tyron Woodley, how do you not take up that opportunity? And he said he was going to, but how do you not?
I mean, he's got a rap career to worry about. Like how much stuff.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that face-off before we talk about this Floyd Money Mayweather training thing.
I really wanted to get into this. It's one thing to be a good rapper and disrespect somebody face-to-face, but when you're a bad rapper, it's not a good look. You know what I mean? It's tough to be like, I'm going to beat you up.
He's like, I'll beat your ass.
I'm going to beat your ass.
And I'm like, Tyron, bro, you can't be singing your own song to someone. Like, no.
Especially when they don't know what you're singing.
Right.
Like, yeah, man, you're not on the Spotify's hottest hits, all right, bro? Like, I don't really know what the fuck you're singing to me, but it kind of sounds like you're just saying the same shit over and over again.
Yeah. And that was definitely the case with that. And Jake Paul was even like, what the fuck are you doing? And then he had like the Mickey Mouse Gucci bag or whatever the hell. And it's always a shit show with that guy. But honestly, like, what do you think? I know Tabor seems to think that Jake Paul win that fight, no problem. But I think it's going to be a much more competitive fight with Tyron Woodley than it will Ben Askren. I mean, we still got to...
That makes sense.
I know, but like Tabor was saying that Jake Paul was going to knock him out in the first round, and I'm like, dude, Tyron Woodley is a lot better striker than Ben Askren, and I think has a better chin than Ben Askren at this point in his career and is in better shape. I mean, Tyron's still in great shape. He went out on a shield against Vicente Luque. That was a good fight. They were throwing haymakers. Luque caught him with a bunch of shots before he finished him. I don't think Paul just goes out there and KOs him in one shot. I just don't see it.
I don't think so, but I would take Paul to win. I just don't understand these MMA fighters keep doing this boxing fights.
I know.
Like, it's not your sport. It's like somebody playing basketball and being like, you know what? I can play water polo. It's like, no, you fucking can't. It's different. Like,
well, that would be like a baseball player going and playing softball, but then trying to like time the speed of an underhand at 45 feet instead of a pitcher at 60 feet. You know,
exactly. It makes no fucking sense. It's hockey and basketball. You're like, this isn't the same shit.
Thing.
Like, Tabor said, that made me want to root for Jake. Paul, third KO. That's my honest opinion.
That made me want to root for Jake.
No, I agreed. I watched the clip and I was like, yeah, Tyron all the way. And then I watched it and I was like, ugh.
I don't know this
tough.
guy's name, but he also agrees with Tabor. He says, I think Paul will KO him. Tyron too old and have so much injuries and surgeries.
That's a great. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if Tyron could win this fight, especially if he's gonna rap to him the entire time.
When he did that, I was like, oh God, it was so cringy. It was so cringy, and like he was like, oh yeah, you lost 4 fights in a row, and I'm like, Jake, you haven't accomplished half of what this guy has accomplished. Shut the fuck up.
You've never really fought a real boxer.
I know, you
before.
haven't fought a boxer. Like, oh, I'm undefeated as a boxer because you're boxing people who don't box for a living, you jackwagon.
You fought a basketball player who didn't train. He was like, yeah, I just thought I could fight. Like, that doesn't fucking make any goddamn sense. And then you fought Ben Askren, who was
wrestler.
like, yeah, I really came off the couch. He looked like a couch potato.
I know, he did.
He
didn't
looked
train for
like
that
a
fight.
dad who was in like Florida with his kids in the pool, with his shirt off. That was what Ben Askren was planning for, not to fight a young Jake Paul who was out here trying to kill someone.
You know what? All credit to Jake Paul. As much as I can't stand the kid, this guy really does train hard. He does look good from what we've seen. I mean, it's not like this kid isn't taking it serious. You can tell just by his physique that this guy is taking boxing seriously as far as the training aspect of things. But it's like, I just wish you would take it serious on the professional side of things and actually fight boxers.
Yeah, but what's the point of that?
I know, when
If
you're making
gonna
all
get
this
paid-
money.
Yeah, you're going to get paid $30 million, maybe $50 million. I don't know how their contract works.
So at this point, I
I'm
might just
knocking
be a
out
hater.
everybody. Yeah. I'm fucking fighting Quavo. I'm going to fight Drake. I'm fighting people off the street.
Drake.
I'm fighting everybody. If I'm Jake Paul, I'm calling out everybody I can that I know can't kill me.
It's true. It's true. It's good marketing, and you just walk around like you're a badass because you keep winning all these fights,
Like,
man.
absolutely. Chuck Liddell wants to fight me. If I'm Jake Paul, sign me up. I'll put that old man in his grave. Let's do it.
I really don't think Floyd Money Mayweather, and speaking of Floyd Money Mayweather, that fight's actually happening tonight. I thought for whatever reason it was Saturday night. I was going to check out the highlights. And so I'm like going through, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's going to be on. It's going to be on. And I'm thinking, okay, when is this fight? Because I was not going to watch it. I am not paying for it. No fucking way, Kimosabi.
Was this on Triller?
Oh, fuck, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not buying it. But I was going to watch the highlights, you know. And come to find out, I guess it's tonight, which is so weird to have a boxing event on Sunday night.
Wrong. This is wrong for so many levels.
Yeah.
Boxing is always on Saturday, okay?
Well, and then it's like you didn't have anything to compete with. I mean, the UFC card, no offense, but the fight night wasn't, you know, like, oh, wow, millions of people are going to tune into this fight night. No, there was no pay-per-view event for UFC. It would have been the perfect weekend to just throw that on a Saturday.
Well, and there's no sports going on in general. Like, even the basketball game started at 4:30.
Yeah.
So it was over by the time the main event would have started.
Well,
so
yeah,
it makes no fucking sense.
If it's anything like the Jake Paul, there would have been 33 concerts.
80.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my God.
You know the worst part about those concerts? This is how old we are. We didn't know fucking.
I didn't know a single artist outside of Snoop. Oh, I guess Bieber, yeah. There's gonna be one.
No, Ice Cube. Ice Cube was on there too. I knew Ice Cube. They had like a little like West.
I wasn't paying attention.
No, but there was one girl
Schmammered.
that was wearing like, you know, she was out here twerking. I didn't know who she was.
Oh, Kata Cat.
Oh, is
Or
that
Kitty
what?
Cat?
Doja Cat or something?
Doja Cat. Dogecoin Cat.
Dogecoin Cat.
Dogecoin Cat to the moon. Yeah, no, put that bitch on a rocket and shoot her up to the moon. I don't want to see that broad anymore, all right? All right.
No, Triller has great products. Great products. They're coming to arrest people.
But this Tyron Woodley Jake Paul fight is going to be on Showtime. It's the first fight on Showtime with Jake Paul. So that'll be an interesting aspect too. And obviously, you know, let's put a little respect on Showtime. They're not, trust me on this, guys, take my word for it. They will not take the Triller model. There's not going to be a million concerts.
Well,
There's not going to be. It's going to be a legit boxing event. And we might get one person coming out singing the national anthem, which I have no problem with it because I'm a goddamn patriot. But outside of that, we're not going to get a concert. We're not going to get anything crazy. So that is a fight that I'm actually going to tune in for because I'm not going to see a shit show.
I would damper your expectations.
I don't know. I think Tyron Woodley. I am on the train of the MMA community. I will never hop off this train. This is the church of MMA. God damn it.
I get it. But this is boxing, baby.
I am backing Tyron Woodley in this fight. He's going to go train with, quite frankly, the greatest boxer of all time, Floyd Money Mayweather. He's going to give him all the tricks and tips, and Tyron Woodley is going to go out there and beat Jake Paul, and it's going to be tremendous. And then Jake Paul is going to want because he's putting the immediate rematch clause in the contract, so we're going to get a number 2 of that, and then Jake might win that one. But nonetheless, it's going to happen. Tyron Woodley's going to go out there. He's going to win that fight.
You know the last time you were really excited about a boxing coach
that
was training somebody?
Was
weren't you
Roach.
like, Freddie Roach is training Ben Askren. He could never lose.
You know what? And I deserve that. I deserve all the trolling in the world. But you know what? In hindsight, I'm fucking retarded.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Because how could I have ever thought a guy like Ben Askren, a wrestler who has no striking whatsoever, and we've seen that time and time again, and a guy who at this point in his career doesn't give a fuck what anyone says, how could I have ever thought a guy like that would ever go out there and beat a guy who's in shape like Jake Paul? So again,
I literally don't know.
I deserve to get trolled for that, absolutely, but you know what? Troll away in the comment section. I'm sticking to my guns. Tyron Woodley's going out there. He's winning that fight, and we are doing a fight companion for it. Period.
Tabor's just holding it down in the comments.
Oh, yeah, he is. Look at that.
Tabor is just holding it down. Tabor, shout out to you, bro.
Shout out
I
to
appreciate
Tabor, yeah.
you. Yeah, no, I'm going with Jake Paul. I refuse to do this again. I just won't do it.
What do you mean refuse to do it again? You bet on Jake Paul. You won money that night, you dickwad.
But
I don't want to hear it, asshole.
I'm the asshole. Yeah, I'm sorry that I just don't have belief in these guys jumping to a different sport. Also, Jake Paul is training for this shit. Like, we're acting like this kid isn't doing the work for
I
this.
literally just
I
gave him
agree. I
credit.
agree.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm talking about everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everybody that keeps thinking he's going to lose this fight is acting like he has no skill whatsoever, and he's just walking in there on a whim, dick in hand. Like, no, this dude's fucking working for this shit.
I totally agree with that, man. I totally agree with that. But again, Tyron Woodley, former champion, he's the real deal. And I think Tyron still got the power. I still think he's got the capability. It could go south. It could go south, and I could be fucking devastated. But you know what? I'm sticking to my guns here. Tyron Woodley. Let's move on. Dana White, next piece of news. Dana White says Colby Covington is next for Kamaru Usman.
Ah, fucking great. It's about fucking time we have some sort of knowledge of what's going on with
what's
Colby.
going on in this division. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Colby's been sitting on his fucking hands for what, a year? 2?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
great.
That is the biggest problem with Colby Covington. And I think at this point, like, we got to look at the first fight. We talk about it all the time, 2-2 going into the 5th. Colby was winning those exchanges. It was a very close fight, but the champ does what the champ does best and finish Colby Covington.
Breaks his fucking jaw.
Breaks his jaw. Yeah, one of the best fights Kamaru Usman has ever had. Or both of them has ever had.
One of the best welterweight title fights ever.
Yes.
Right there with Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit. Like, it's right there amongst those killers.
And it makes sense right now in this division because we have Gilbert Burns taking Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on. You know, I think Stephen's got a real... If Stephen goes out there and beats Gilbert Burns, it's really hard not to make that matchup.
Yeah.
Even though Leon Edwards will probably go out there next week and beat Nate Diaz. So it's like one of these things where this welterweight division's so jammed up that the champ has got to continue to, defend 2 or 3 times a year. But I really do believe that this fight will be less competitive. I think Kamaru Usman has only gotten better. Every single time. Like, we got to start, I don't say we, but I just mean people in general. They say, oh, Kamaru Usman's not an entertaining fighter. Oh, he's a wrestler. Dude, this guy has finished his last 3 opponents in title fights. This man is the real fucking deal. This is the Michael Jordan of mixed martial arts. Like, I think Kamaru Usman will be champion for so many years. This guy has got the strongest mentality in the game, and he only constantly improves, and he's working with one of the greatest coaches of all time, Trevor Whitman. So it's like he's got everything on his side. And I think, honestly, I think when this fight does happen, Colby's going to do his shtick. He's going to talk a lot of shit. He's going to do blah, 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 Marty, calling him Marty and all this shit. Kamaru, I think Kamaru Usman finishes Colby Covington within 2 rounds in the rematch.
Ooh.
I really do. I think Kamaru Usman is so fucking good. He's the real deal. I got to get myself a canvas of Kamaru Usman too, because he might be my favorite fighter at this point.
Okay, so by the time this fight takes place, Colby will have, because there's no way this fight takes place before September, right?
No, I'm thinking
unless
probably
it's
December.
in September would be the only time you would think. So Colby by that time will have not fought for a year. So his last fight was September
August.
19th of 2020.
it was September?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because that's when he fought Woodley. Yeah, I don't know if I can add on to anything you just said. I mean, you kind of put it perfectly. I just think Kamara is so much better, and it's good to see Kamara getting his shine. You know, he was just on Hot Ones. He's starting to become a little bit more popular. You're starting to see him more on the talk shows. They're starting to give him a little bit more credit, put him out there on ESPN, on all these talk shows, so he's getting the shine that he deserves. Because quite honestly, like, if you're promoting a champion, you could not ask for a better champion than Kamaru Usman.
Nope.
Fights, walks the walk, backs it up, and he's fucking entertaining as hell.
Super
I don't give a
entertaining.
shit what anybody says. That Colby fight was fantastic. Gilbert Burns, fantastic. That the exchanges he had with Jorge Masvidal and that knockout.
To be able to finish Jorge Masvidal, knock him out.
Knock him dead.
No one's done that. No one's done that to Jorge Masvidal throughout his whole career, man. It's wild.
Everything that Usman has done, I just think we're barely seeing his potential. I think we're just scratching the surface of how truly great he's going to be in the UFC. We could see him take over middleweight. Like, that's a real possibility. I know him and Izzy are friends, but eventually, if he's just killing the welterweights, he's going to go up.
Yeah.
And he has every right and deserves to do so. Because let's be honest. Outside of he beats Colby again, then probably Wonder Boy
or Leon Edwards. See, and let's talk about this welterweight division a little bit, because this is where I kind of want to go for this talking point next. So let's just say, for the sake of saying that Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight right now and will defend his belt against Colby Covington. So let's say he goes out there, beats Colby Covington. Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. I really believe Leon Edwards will get that job done.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
If Nate does go out there and it throws a wrench into the whole thing, but not necessarily. It could actually be great for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I do not want to see Kamaru Usman versus Nate Diaz. I don't want to see it. I have no desire to see that fight whatsoever. If Nate were to go out there and beat Leon Edwards, okay, that's great. And don't get me wrong, I fucking love Nate Diaz. I love Nate Diaz.
You're such a hater right now.
I know, that's what
You're
people say.
such a fucking hater right now.
Okay, who's going to win that fight?
Oh, I'm sure Leon Edwards will win, but did you not?
No. I mean, if Nate were to go out there, beat Leon Edwards.
Oh, versus Kamara? Oh, it's a first round.
It's a first round. It's over. It's a wrap, folks.
Kamara's going to make him bleed within 5 fucking seconds, and it's going to get stopped.
So let's just go for the sake of argument. Leon Edwards wins that fight. And then, but man, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Gilbert Burns. That's a tough matchup for Stephen.
It definitely, well, Gilbert Burns' style is an absolute buzzsaw for what Stephen Wonderboy does.
Yep.
I mean, to suffocate space, get him down to the mat, and absolutely just strangle him has to be the only plan Gilbert Burns has.
Well,
You're not going to stand in exchange with a counter striker to the level of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
With his karate counter striking capabilities, like that's where Gilbert Burns, he's going to have to take that to the mats, man, if he wants to win that fight. I don't see him out striking Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but it's a matter of getting him to the mats.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Well, you got to close the distance. And I mean, Stephen Wonderboy is just so good at in and out. The way he controls the pace of the fight, the way he controls all the distance, every counter strike is perfectly landed. Everything, you have to be absolutely on your shit to beat Wonderboy. And Gilbert Burns is good enough to do so. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited for this one. So let's just say this. Who do you think has the best chance to beat Usman at 170?
I like that. I like that question because that's kind of where I was going to head to this. So I really do love Leon Edwards. But For whatever reason, when I watch Leon Edwards, I feel like there would be a little bit of a size discrepancy between the two. I think Kamaru Usman is a stronger fighter.
Yeah.
I think he would take him down. I think he would, and don't get me wrong, Leon Edwards has fantastic cardio. He has proven it, and I think he deserves the next shot, right? But I really believe Stephen Wonderboy Thompson would be Kamaru Usman's toughest challenge. Yeah.
Really? Is it just the counter striking?
It's the counter striking.
He would be able to keep that distance the entire time?
He would keep the distance, and I'll tell you why. This is the number one reason why. I don't think his jab would be as effective because Kamaru Usman potentially has the best jab in the UFC outside of maybe.
Well, and that right hook that follows it is fucking. But he would have to get through. He would have to close that gap, and those just the way Wonderboy establishes distance with just kicks. I mean, from leg kicks to the body, that weird looking sweet chin music kick, teep kicks, everything he throws.
And he's long and lengthy too, which is a different kind of style than I think Kamaru Usman has seen. That's who I think, honestly. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, obviously I've been talking hype about Kamaru Usman the whole time. I think he could definitely beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Well, I think it only takes one shot. I mean, we saw Woodley do it too, and Woodley wasn't nearly as aggressive as Kamaru is. If Kamaru goes in there and says, I don't give a shit what you're going to hit me with, I'm marching you down, it's going to be rough. I don't know. I honestly, I leave it to Colby. I think Colby's still the one. The first fight was so close. Because I think Leon Edwards goes in there and gets taken down. Obviously, his jiu-jitsu is good. Yeah. But I just think Kamaru Usman's on a different level. And we don't even know where Leon Edwards is on this scale anymore because we haven't seen him fight recently. Right. And the people he has fought, so Bilal Muhammad, not taking anything away from him.
No, because he was looking like he was going to win that fight. Yeah. He was looking clearly like the better fighter. Absolutely. I know people get mad about that because of the whole eye poke situation. But come on, to sit there and watch that first round and to not see that Leon Edwards was the better fighter that night, at least for the round that we saw it in, would be kind of naive to say otherwise.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I leave it with Colby just because the first fight was so close. I also believe that Colby's training. I don't think Colby's sitting around jerking his dick, just talking shit. I think he's out there getting better. The only thing I would worry about is a little bit of ring rust for him. But, I mean, especially when you're a guy as confident as Colby, he's not going in there to lose.
No,
and
definitely not.
From where they were at that time, it was neck and neck. Yeah. Like that fight was razor thin. Yeah. So,
but you make a good point because I think that's where I'm at with Colby Covington. It's been so long. We watch this guy fight once a year that we haven't really seen him improve in the octagon as far as fights the same way that we've seen Kamaru Usman improve over his last 3 fights. I mean, you see it. You have seen the proof is in the pudding with Kamaru Usman. Yeah. We have seen him finish 3 straight fighters in a row, 3 straight top contenders in a row. Colby Covington, he fights once a year.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part.
He fights Tyron Woodley, who had lost at that point 2 or 3 fights in a row.
Yeah, I think that was his second. Yeah. I think that was his 3rd loss in a row. Yeah. I don't know. I just look at how close they were. I believe Colby's working. And I just think the absolute disdain that Colby has for Kamaru Usman is only going to motivate him more. I could see it ending really early. Or I could see it being another war where Colby upped his game and that we're just not ready for.
Yeah. It definitely could be the case. Yeah, absolutely. Either way. But yeah, I'm excited for the welterweight division. I'm glad we're getting these fights going because that was one of our main gripes on this podcast. So it's good to see the wheels turning as far as like a guy like Colby Covington and stuff starting to fight. Because, you know, the whole situation was kind of fucked up for a little while. Yeah. The whole Leon Edwards situation,
all of this was.
Colby Covington, and of no fault of Kamaru Usman. He's taking fights left and right. Like, it's not the champ's fault. It's just that division under them. They're very, like, picky and choosy about who they wanted to fight. So I'm glad we're finally starting to see these fights turn out.
Well, Leon should be fighting Colby this weekend in a 5-round main event. Yeah. Like, that's where this should have been. That should have happened. Yeah. And the fact that Nate snuck in, and I understand pay-per-view buys, you got to sell pay-per-views.
And I think it's going to sell well.
I would agree. I don't think it's going to...
2 title fights. Think about the Figgy... We'll talk about that later.
Okay, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Actually, you want to just move into the preview show? Hit that motherfucker.
Well, let's talk about this real quick. Okay. Real quick. Ariel leaving ESPN. I know it's an optional thing on the notes, but I'm going to call Tabor real quick so he can make his picks. But yeah, Ariel Helwani leaving ESPN. What do you think about that, Gibbs?
It sucks for ESPN because now they're left with Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
Like, that's
awful.
Like, I don't want ESPN having their guys cover MMA. And I know you're right there too, because we've had this conversation about 1,000 fucking times how terrible their goddamn coverage is. I don't need to listen to Max Kellerman fucking talk about shit that he doesn't understand. Stephen A. Smith and Max are both boxing guys and try to treat it the same way. I don't know. It sucks for ESPN. Like, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, it definitely does. But, you know, the biggest thing that sucks for me is not having DC.
Yeah.
And Ariel Helwani. That is my favorite show. Look, it's never fun going to work on Monday morning, but you know what I get to do? I get to download Ariel Helwani and DC's podcast, and it always makes my Monday so much better. So it really is disappointing that we're probably not going to get that anymore.
I would hope that they let them still do the podcast, because they still do, what was it? They had the bad guy one.
Ariel and the bad guy?
Because Chael left ESPN for a while, and they still did Ariel and the bad guy.
That's true. I'm hoping they let them keep that podcast. It's such a good podcast.
But I don't know. You know, with ESPN and Disney, all that shit, they want to own your soul to let you talk for them. So
I know.
It sucks. Now we got to listen to Stephen A. Smith fucking ramble on about whatever the fuck he thinks he's talking about.
So much fun.
So,
I love Stephen A. Smith. All right, here we go. Let's do the preview show. And
do I get to make picks for this?
Well, actually, hello. Is anyone there? Is anyone on the phone line?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Tabor. There he is. On his fucking deathbed, folks. He's here. He's on the podcast. He was able to call in. Welcome to the new minute. Tabor will no longer be able to come here, but he is able to call in, so that's good. He has been in the chats.
For modern day technology.
Just passes out on the phone
on the podcast.
All right, we're gonna need to send an ambulance over to Tabor's house while we finish up the show.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, no, Tabor, you have been very active in the chats. We see there's probably, Jesus.
Yeah, this motherfucker has just been working.
Chats? I haven't been checking. That's so funny.
Oh, wow. I had my eye on it.
Well, I at one point I said 14 people watching, and I'm all alone in here. What the fuck?
Yeah, but nobody gives a fuck about you, Tabor. They're like, all right.
He's doing the job of all of us. So, all right.
They're like, thank God that guy's gone.
Yeah. So Tabor, we're jumping into this preview show. We're going to start with Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vittori. And Tabor, I'm going to let you take the reins on this one since you haven't been here. How do you see this fight shaking out?
It's easy for me, to be honest, because, I mean, I've seen that fight so many times. Like, I think I've watched this fight probably 5 times since it's gotten out. Israel won. I think Marvin's fucking crazy for thinking he won that fight. Yeah, it was competitive and it was kind of close, but no, dude, you didn't win that fight. Like, I'm sorry, Israel was outstriking you from start to finish. It wasn't the most exciting fight. But I think this one could be different. If Israel goes out there and puts a show on, I think it could be a finish. But Marvin's tough. I don't know if he's getting the finish. It probably goes 5 rounds. The biggest talking point for me is, does Marvin take him down? And he gets the takedown. And that's it. If he gets the takedown and he lays on top of Israel, it's probably over. I'm going with Israel, dude. He's my fucking guy. I'm literally I'm going all in on it. That's how fucking confident I am in this fight. Israel's the champ. He's going to be the champ for a long time. I love that you guys said Usman could move up, because I think that is the guy that could be Israel Adesanya right now at 185 pounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing with Marvin Vittori is I don't know if you watched that interview that they did in between this fight night, but they were talking. They were dressed horribly. What in the hell were they both wearing?
Marvin Vittori decided to wear like a lion shirt, like he was like the MGM or some shit.
I hate that fashion shit that they do, where they like try to dress in these like weirdly off-putting outfits, and like that's supposed to be cool. I'm like Gucci and all that. It's never appealed to me.
You're not a Gucci belt guy?
I'm not a Gucci belt guy, man.
Hashtag Gucci belt guy. I'm a Gucci belt guy. I'd wear a Gucci belt. It has a G on it. Gideon. G
Bro,
for
I just
Gideon.
can't justify spending that kind of money. Even if I had money, I'm like, I could invest this money. Well, I could invest this money into fucking cryptocurrency, into Cardano.
Cardanos.
That's something I do. That is not financial advice. Do not take my advice.
That's why I like Ben Askren, bro. He showed up in fucking flip-flops, cargo shorts, and a t-shirt, my guy.
And then he got his ass.
Yeah, I was gonna say we saw how well that
We
went.
saw how well that went. So maybe you
got
do
you.
dress to impress. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, yeah, they were going back and forth, and Marvin Vittori just kind of, which, hey, again, I love Marvin Vittori, but he is kind of, oh, Jesus. What are you doing
Christ,
over there, Tabor?
Oh, sorry.
Put you on fucking
I'm
mute.
taking
my
some
guy.
fucking vitamins, bro. I'm dying.
Well, let's take vitamins after we're done here, because you already sound like you're in a tin can that's in a tunnel that's 50 floors underground. So, when you have the bottle, it makes it even worse. So, but Marvin Vittori just basically came out and said, hey, I'm going to take you down the same way I did in the first fight. So he's already telling Izzy his game plan.
Yeah, not a smart
I don't
move.
think that's very smart at all.
But again, I think Izzy knew that was the game plan. Like, I don't think he thought he was going to come in there and try to outstrike him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not if you want to commit suicide.
I know.
Well, let's be real. Look at how Jan fought Izzy. Jan had a very, very smart game plan. And if Marvin's a big body guy. He's a big dude for 185 pounds. If he can implement that striking game plan, bro, it's anyone's fight at that point. But I just don't see it happening. I think Israel's too smart. He's going to find a way. Even if Marvin does do exactly what Jan did, he'll just find a way to win.
Well, and the blueprint was put out with Kevin Holland, and with the Derek Brunson, Kevin Holland, and then Kevin Holland stepped in to take on Marvin Vittori, and Vittori took that blueprint and ran with it.
Absolutely.
So I think, maybe he is looking at what Jan Blachowicz was able to do to Israel Adesanya and wants to kind of emulate that game plan. I think that's definitely could be the case here, and it does make for an interesting matchup. I just don't think it was the best strategy to come out in the interview and be like, hey, that is what I'm going to do to you.
Yeah, but Jan was so fucking big in that fight. Jan was big. Yeah. And
when Izzy weighed in at like 195.
Well, yeah. And Marvin's a big guy, but I don't think he can get... Jan just absolutely overwhelmed him with his physical strength.
Yeah.
And I think Vittori can do something similar, but I feel like they're going to be closer in weight. I just feel like Izzy's going to be so hard to fucking touch. Yeah. Unless Vittori's whole plan is to just smother him for the entire 5 rounds, which just doesn't seem plausible.
No. Yeah, for me, I'm just going to go with my pick here. Now, this is just a betting strategy here. I really do believe Israel Adesanya will go out there. I think he will get the job done. I think he will defend his belt here. I think he's the better, more well-rounded fighter in every capacity. I think the only way that Marvin Vittori does win this fight is he utilizes some striking, takes him down, and grinds Izzy and gets him tired. But outside of that, I really do believe Israel Adesanya will defend his belt Saturday, June 12th. But I am going to bet on Marvin Vittori because he is a 2-1 underdog here at a plus 200, and I really do like the value on this. As where Izzy, I'm not getting much value at a minus 240. So I'm going to put 500 church coin on Marvin Vittori for the win.
Wow.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, I'm all in on Israel, dude. It's his time. It was a rough fight for him against Jan. He's going to want to get this comeback fight, and this is a perfect matchup for him, dude. I mean, he beat the guy once before, and he's only going to do it in better fashion this time.
So, Tabor, you're all in, so that'll be approximately, I haven't done the math yet, but it looks like you have bet 2,400 for the other fights altogether, so it'll be about 26-27 is what you'll be betting on Izzy.
Perfect.
Just so you know.
Tabor, if Izzy loses, can we expect a similar reaction to Stipe, or is it less?
No.
Where are we at for how mad you're gonna be? Or do we have to put you on suicide watch again? Or
I don't think any reaction is gonna be as bad as that one.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah,
Izzy's my fucking guy.
I was gonna say, I don't know, Stipe. I really felt bad if Rose lost.
Man. Yeah. What'd you say?
I said only time will tell. We'll see. I'm not gonna lie. If Izzy gets knocked the fuck out, I don't know. It won't be good. It won't.
No, but shit, dude, it'd be kind of cool because Marvin Vittori would be champ. Kamaru Usman, if he goes out there and beats Colby Covington, has all the excuses in the world to move up.
I see what you're doing. And it sets a revenge story. His teammate, friend, brother goes to get that one back for him.
Yeah, get it back while taking the belt.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I mean, at the same time, like Kamaru Usman's got to do what Usman's got to do. He might be the greatest fighter in the world right now. He is pound for pound greatest fighter right now.
Before we move on, if Israel loses that fight, does he deserve an immediate rematch?
Yeah, I think he does.
I think it depends.
And it's a trilogy fight, too.
I think it
sells.
Well,
really?
Yeah, go ahead, Gideon.
Yeah, I think it totally depends. If he comes out and he just gets starched in the first 2 rounds and it looks like Vittori dominates him, I would give Izzy some time and run it with Robert Whittaker and then give him a fresh Izzy after, 6, 7, 8 months off.
Yeah, that's actually true, too, because like if a guy like Robert Whittaker deserves the next title shot, and it's a fight either way that you can sell with Israel Adesanya coming back. Obviously, the rematch with Robert Whittaker, if he would then be champion, it would be kind of the same similar story if Robert Whittaker beat Marvin Vittori, or Marvin Vittori also defends his belt against Robert Whittaker. You can do the trilogy.
Yeah.
And the trilogy sells. So I actually like that idea. You would give Izzy some time to recuperate because, that would be 2 straight losses. One being to Jan Blachowicz and then obviously to Marvin Vittori. But I don't know, man. I just don't see Izzy losing that fight, if I'm being honest.
Interesting.
All right, so moving on to the
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I was my fucking dog eating my shit right now.
Okay. It sounds like Tabor's got some things he's
no, my fucking sorry. My dog's just being a piece of shit right now. I'm fucking talking about super ass.
Oh, okay. Well.
Oh, all right.
All right. Well,
Peter's just on the line.
Abuser.
So, co-main event, Davidson Figuerado versus Brandon Moreno. Interestingly enough, there are also the same odds for this fight where Israel Adesanya was coming in at the favorite at a -240, Vittori coming in at a +200 underdog, Davidson Figuerado is a -240, and Brandon Moreno is a +200 underdog. Tabor, how do you see this one shaking out?
I think it's if we're expecting another fight of the year, I don't see it happening, man. I think that was a one-time thing with that fight. They were both cutting weight on like 3 weeks' notice right after fighting the last pay-per-view. So the cardio just wasn't quite there with Figgy. And this is the deal with Figgy. I just don't know if he has the cardio to hold up 5 rounds. It did hold up 5 rounds after cutting weight. So, I mean, I think it can only be better in this fight. And if you get Figgy with a full training camp with great cardio where he doesn't gas out in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I think it's over, dude. I love Moreno. I really like Moreno. I do think he is the true number 1 contender in this division. But I just don't see it happening. Figgy cracks like I've never fucking seen at flyweight, man. It's just it's too much power. I think Figgy gets the finish this time. I'm not going to say early. I'm going to say 4th or 5th round TKO. So what was my bet? I put 2,000 church coin on Figgy.
Yeah, and I really like your breakdown for that, Tabor. You were very good at your breakdowns, and I completely agree with everything you just said there. I really do feel like Davidson Figueiredo is the better fighter, but we can never count out what Brandon Moreno was able to do against Davidson Figueiredo. We all counted him out. We all said he didn't have a shot in hell, and he went out there and put on one of the most impressive performances I have seen that year.
An all-time classic.
Yeah.
It was an all-time classic.
I thought he won
a majority draw. Yeah, it was a very, very close fight. So can Brandon Moreno go out there and do the same thing again? Absolutely. And we got to start putting a little respect on his name. But at the same time, as you just alluded to earlier, Tabor, Davidson Figueiredo cracks like no one else you've ever seen in the flyweight division. I mean, even a guy like DJ never cracked someone like that, and he defended his belt so many times. 13, 14, 15 defenses, but he never cracked anyone. I mean, we have never seen this kind of power from a flyweight before, and I don't think, we talk about this a lot with fighting, that all these big fights and these hard-fought fights take something out of you. And I think something was taken out of both these fighters that night. And I just think Figueiredo with the power does get the job done. I also am laying 1,000 church coin down on Davidson Figueiredo for the win in this co-main flyweight championship bout. Gideon, how do you see this one shaking out?
Honestly, I'm gonna use a basketball reference. It really felt like a 15 seed that was just hanging in there with the 2 seed the entire game and like March Madness. And like, they didn't belong there, but like they hung in the entire time and went blow for blow. It feels like this one's going to be kind of a wash for Figgy. I mean, I don't know, dude. I really think he's going to come out, and I think he's going to come out as a fucking bat out of hell and try to get him out of there early. There's no way he wants this fight to go 3, 4, 5th round. Like, there's just no fucking way. So I think if he's going to go out there and try to get him out in those first 2 rounds. And if he can't, I think we're going to see Moreno do exactly what he did in the last fight and just come on strong in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Because you could see in the last fight, I just went back and rewatched it the other day. Mm-hmm. That 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, as soon as it looked like Figgy started to slow down, Moreno's output went through the fucking roof. Yep. I mean, he just picked up the pace. So if you're Figgy, you got to go in here and you got to go into kill. Kill fast, kill early.
Yep. Great breakdown. I like that.
15 seed. That's so fucking disrespectful.
What do you want? 7-10? I had to make it sound like an upset, you dick.
15 seed. He's literally the number 1 contender in that division. He is the 2nd best flyweight in the fucking world. If you want to use a basketball reference, say that's the national championship and say there was a fucking Cinderella story or something, but they did belong there. Like, come on, man. That guy is 15 seed. Come on.
Hey, a 15 seed was just in the Sweet 16. That's fucking good.
Yeah, but they didn't make it to the shit, bro. This is for a fucking title. Like, come on, man. Come on. I've never so disagreed vehemently with you, my guy.
It happens every once in a while.
I get the point he's trying to make, but I definitely hear your point too, Tabor. He was a number 1 contender in this division, absolutely.
Yeah,
but I think
he still is. I could see these guys fighting 3 times. Even if Figgy gets the win and Moreno strings some wins together, like this is a great fucking matchup in this division.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a great division. I just think what he means is just like with the power and like how dominant Davidson Figueredo was.
Nobody thought Moreno had any shot in this fight. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Not like I didn't mean to disregard Moreno in general. I just meant like I think wasn't he like a -500 favorite for the first fight?
It was huge.
It was outrageous. That's where I was going with it, Tabes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes more sense.
You okay over there?
I wouldn't be shocked if Moreno gets the win, dude. He's that good. He's that skilled. He's got a great chin. It all comes down, like I said earlier, it comes down to the cardio with Figgy. If the cardio holds up, it's going to be rough for Moreno. Even if the cardio does hold up, I'm not saying it's not impossible for the guy. Like, anything's possible in this wild sport. Moreno fucking cracks hard as well. He's got fantastic striking. It's going to be a great fight. I have to go stick with Figgy.
Yep, yeah, and I hear you there, definitely. So we are both betting on Figgy. I'm putting 1,000 on Davidson Figueredo. You were putting 2,000 on him. So let's move on to this. Not even co-main, but interestingly enough, we are keeping 5 rounds for this fight, which I love. Thank you so much, Dana White. And this is the thing. We could use more 5-round fights,
yeah, this needs
not
to be
less.
Every pay-per-view. Like, anytime it's not a second title fight, the co-main needs to be 5 rounds, especially if it's a title eliminator.
That's the thing. Number 1 contender fights, I think they should change it, and have a special rule for these pay-per-views and do the co-main event. If it's a number 1 contender, have it 5 rounds.
Absolutely.
I love 5-round fights.
Absolutely. It makes no sense not to.
I know. Because those guys are going to take on the champ next anyway and a number 1 contender, so just let them take that 5-round fight.
Well, how many times do we have these number 1 contender fights that we're not sure about who really won at the end?
Yeah, because it's 29-28 split decision. And you're like,
yeah, damn. 2 more rounds. I'm sure we would have had like a decisive outcome from this. Yeah,
absolutely.
It makes no sense. This is exactly where they need to start going.
And it's so funny because who else would get this kind of opportunity than a guy like Nate Diaz, right?
Connor would be the only other person.
Yeah, of course.
Connor or maybe John would be the only other 2 people that would get. Actually,
I don't know if
there's
Connor
no way.
wants 5 rounds.
There's no way Connor's not ever a main event. It doesn't matter if there's title fights on that card.
Very true.
Yeah, the guy could lose, as we always joke around. The guy could lose 8 fights in a row, and then he wins this one. He's fighting for a title.
I can't wait till he fights Jake Paul and then he fights fucking a boxer for a world title.
That'd be fun. Well, Floyd's open to the rematch, but we'll talk about that shit later.
Great.
I know. Whoop-de fucking do. So, Leon Edwards. Hey, there it is. Hey, you got to hit it today, kids. How'd that feel? I feel good. Tabor, can you hear that fart noise?
Oh yeah, I hear it.
Tremendous.
Yes.
Over the phone. That's beautiful.
You guys hear this one? Oh, never mind. It was fine.
It's his pants.
He's like, all right, guys, I gotta go.
I gotta go and change. I'll call back in
just
10
shit my
minutes.
pants.
No, it's like that the hot rod scene where he's
Oh
like,
my.
oh yeah, well, good thing it definitely didn't work. All right, goodbye, Denise. He's like walking all awkwardly because he shit himself.
I'll be back, guys.
God, I love that fucking movie. Best movie ever. All right, Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz, 5-round Coco main event. Coco main
Coco?
event?
Coco.
Okay, so this is insane. Leon Edwards coming in, I mean, not insane. I agree with these odds. But Leon Edwards coming in at a minus 500 favorite, where Nate Diaz is over a 3-1 underdog, coming in at almost a 4-1 underdog at a plus 380. Tabor, how do you see this one shaking out, man?
Easy. This will be the easiest fight on this entire fucking card to pick. Leon Edwards. I would put more money, but I want to make as much money as possible with this Israel fight because I just see it as such a lock. And at a minus 240, like it seems like a pretty.
Well, it's better odds
deal
than
for
a
me.
minus 500.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. So I'm just putting 100 on Edwards. Edwards could take him down. He could outstrike him on the feet. It doesn't matter where this fight goes. I think Leon Edwards is the bigger, stronger, better fighter. Nate Diaz is great. Nate Diaz has got great cardio. Blah 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 blah. He's got fucking shit teeth, scar tissue. The man's gonna get cut up. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a bad cut and then this fight is ended again by a doctor. I love Nate Diaz, and there's so many great fights you can make with him. This just isn't one of them. I was shocked when they made this fight in the first place.
Yeah, and it is so wild to me that a guy like Nate Diaz could fight his last fight. Let's keep this in mind. He didn't fight all of 2020. And we're 7 months into 2021. He fought November 2nd, 2019, obviously for the BMF belt, the fictional BMF belt, against Jorge Masvidal. That I don't know if that's ever going to be fought for again, because doesn't Jorge lost a few times after that? Whatever, beside the point.
It doesn't make sense. It's not
But
a real
again, and then he's getting the number 3 contender in the world, Leon Edwards. I don't understand this fight at all either.
I do.
What is it? The money.
It's the money.
Of course it's the money.
That's fucking Dana was like, what? You need a fight? Yeah. Nate, what are you doing?
And for some reason, Leon Edwards always gets shafted. So it's like, it's one of those things. It's super frustrating. But yeah, man, I see this shaking out the same way. I think Leon Edwards is the all-around better fighter. I think he's got the better, cardio's rough. Cardio's rough because Nate Diaz has got tremendous cardio too. But I think he has more weapons and skills to beat a guy like Nate Diaz. I see this fight could definitely go decision, but I think it could be a 4-1, 5-0 win. A very dominant win by Leon Edwards. I think his striking's better. I think his takedowns are better. I think he's better all the way around. So
I think Leon finishes it. I think he finishes him by the second or third round. I think he's just that much better. I'm not going to say he's going to knock Nate Diaz out. I mean, if anyone has ever done that, Nate Diaz ever been finished like that?
I think once with a head kick by Josh Thompson.
That's right. Yeah.
Long ago.
That was fucking
long ago.
Might even been a decade ago.
Yeah, I think it's like 2012, 2011. It's
Jesus
been a while.
Christ. That's a long time. Yeah, but
Leon's just so good, dude. He's so good on the feet and the ground. It doesn't matter where it goes. He's going to dominate, and I think he's getting the finish.
Yeah. So strategically, you bet Leon Edwards. You bet 100 church coin on Leon Edwards. In your return, Tabor, if you win, you will be able to cash out at a cool 20 church coin. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Damn.
What a bet.
Damn, we're
What a
fucking
bet.
rolling in it.
For me, though, I'm going to play strategy here, as I often do. I'm going to go with the crazy chance that Nate Diaz gets a guillotine submission. Leon Edwards shoots for a takedown, and Nate pulls out some crazy fucking submission at a plus 380. I just like the odds too damn much. I'm going to put 300 church coin on Nate Diaz for what could potentially be the greatest upset this year in 2021.
And if he wins that fight, Kamaru's going to be like, all right, Nate Diaz is next, my guy. Let's fucking do it.
Well, yeah, because he fucking hates Colby Covington. It would be the perfect troll
It doesn't even matter. He knows the payday is Nate Diaz.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Unquestionably. And it's the easiest fight for him.
Absolutely.
He knows he would go out there and starch Nate Diaz. I mean, come on. Kamaru Usman. I mean, that's like the Jorge Masvidal situation where it was like Kamaru knew he was going to go out there and beat him again. He would know for a matter of fact he would go out there and beat a guy like Nate Diaz. It's just, it's
100%.
simple.
But the money in that fight. I mean, could you imagine the promos again?
Oh, the casual.
Oh my God, they're gonna roll. That's hitting $1 million right there.
Oh, fuck
easily.
yeah,
Easily, that's
easy.
$1 million. People are so goddamn dumb.
You put a good undercard on that too, man. You could probably go 1-6, 1-8.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Well, especially with Kamara getting so much steam now. It doesn't matter, you guys. Leon's gonna roll him in 2.
I know.
Like, roll him. Like, I expect him to go in there and intentionally try to harm him to prove a point.
Yeah.
And he should.
Yeah, he should.
Not kill him, but you know what I mean.
And it sets it up good for Nate. You know, Nate will probably lose this fight, and then Jorge Masvidal coming off that loss, he'll probably fight for the fictional BMF belt,
Or Connor rematch.
Or Connor rematch, yeah, because Connor will lose to Dustin again. So yada yada yada. It is what it is. It sets up those fights, and those are fun fights. Those are fights I'm actually going to tune into. A Nate Diaz Conor McGregor rematch, or a Nate Diaz Jorge Masvidal rematch. I'm stoked for. I'm excited for. I love seeing that as a fight fan. Yeah, it's not for a belt or anything, but those are fights I still want to see.
Well, the Jorge fight's for a belt.
Guys, look at the chat. Ant W championship fights should be 7 rounds. Jesus Christ, my guy.
My
what
guy,
do you
you trying
want?
to kill
Brain
him?
damage on pay-per-view?
Yeah, but Ant wants him to die in there. He wants Dana to give him the thumbs
To
down.
die in
Very
there.
Caesar-like.
He's like, I want Nate dead.
Yeah, no, I am opposed to that for the fighter's safety.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 grueling rounds at 5 minutes, 25. I mean, let's do this. And W, I don't know your physical capabilities, and thanks for tuning in and all that shit. But I mean, dude, just try fucking running for 25 minutes straight. It is a challenge, you know, at a decent speed. These guys are putting it all out on the line for 25 minutes. You want to make them go 35 minutes? Are you fucking insane, bro? Are you insane?
Little do we know that Ant W is a fucking triathlete.
Yeah, triathlon.
Iron Man and
yeah.
shit. He's like, I could run for fucking 6 hours.
Just sends us a picture. He's just fucking jacked.
Ant W's
Jack.
Cam Haynes. He's running 30 miles a day.
A day, yeah.
You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Cam Haynes is his alias is Ant W. Somehow that orchestrates the Cam. What the fuck? Thanks for tuning in, though.
Yeah. Going off the rails. I love it.
Oh, yeah, this is fun. All right, Damian Maia versus Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad. You know, it is so wild to see these odds because, again, there is the same odds for the Israel fight and the Davidson Figuerado fight. We have Bilal, remember the name Muhammad, coming in at a minus 240 favorite over the savvy vet, jiu-jitsu fiend, Damian Maia, who is, you know, on the tail end of his career, obviously, 42, 43 years old, coming in at a plus 200. Tabor, how do you see this one shaking out?
Yeah, minus 240 is crazy, dude.
That's wild.
I don't
heavy
understand that. I mean, I like Bilal a lot. I think he's a great fighter, and he's got pretty good jiu-jitsu and wrestling as well. But, I mean, if this goes down to the ground, Damian Maia will submit him. I think it's as easy as that. Is his defensive wrestling good enough to stop the takedowns? Damian Maia's got great wrestling, and yeah, he is on the tail end of his career. This might be his last fight, period. I wouldn't be shocked if he retired after this. A lot of people were thinking he was going to retire earlier than this. He's just a savvy vet, dude. This is a way closer fight than a plus 200, minus 240. That, to me, is crazy. If it stays on the feet, yeah, I'll give Bilal the edge. He will outstrike Damian Maia if it does stay on the feet, but if it goes down to the ground, man, it's over. It's over for Bilal. You cannot survive with that, man. Like, look at some of the best wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys the game has ever seen. Ben Askren, even Usman. Like, Usman didn't want to go down to the ground with Damian Maia.
No, hell no.
You remember that fight?
Yeah,
They
no,
did
yeah,
not
you
go down to the
definitely
ground
avoid
one
that.
time.
Yeah, you avoid that at any chance you get. You got to avoid that. Well, and even Gilbert Burns, you know, KO and Damian Maia in the first round, he didn't want any of that smoke on the ground. And Gilbert Burns is a phenomenal jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Yeah, but Damian Maia hasn't fought in like a year, well over a year now.
Yeah.
True. That Gilbert Burns was the last fight, and Damian Maia is just, he's one of these guys, if you beat Damian Maia, you're going to be in the fucking title contentions. You're not getting a title shot with beating Damian Maia, but you know what? You might get a top 5 fight, and that's what Bilal deserves. I mean, after getting shafted in that Leon Edwards fight, yes, he was getting outclassed until that eye poke, but I mean, he just got completely shafted. So I feel for Bilal, but I don't know, dude. I'm actually leaning Maia. I think if it goes down to the ground, it's over. I'm going to go 100 church coin on Maia.
All right, I like that. Yeah, you know, I think Damian Maia's on the, obviously, as I just said, tail end of his career, 42 years old. I mean, come on, like, obviously he is. I really like Bilal, remember the name Muhammad. I'm really rooting for this guy. I'm really pulling for this guy after all the shit he's gone through. You know, getting his first main event. That's every fighter's dream, is to have a main event fight and then to have it end the way it did against a number 3 contender in this division with Leon Edwards. It was tragic. Like, not to be dramatic, but it was sad for Bilal. You could tell how much he wanted it. He kind of started crying in the octagon because it was like all of his dreams had kind of been realized. Like, oh fuck, my first main event, and then I get poked in the eye and I can't even continue the fight, even though I did think Leon Edwards was winning that fight. However, as you just said, Tabor, you go out there and beat a guy like Damian Maia, who has tried, true, and tested in this division, who's won some of the, or has beat some of the best in this welterweight division. You gotta give this guy a top 6, top 7 guy if he goes out there and beats Damian Maia. I'm rooting for Bilal here. I'm putting 240 church coin on Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad, for the win. I think he's going to try everything he can to stay away from Damian Maia. I don't think this is going to hit the mats. I think he's going to knock him out in the first round.
Yeah, that'd be really good for Bilal, and I'd be happy for him.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love Damian Maia. He's done a lot for the sport, jiu-jitsu fiend, but I want to see Bilal. I want to see him move up. He deserves it, and he's gone through some shit this year, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're moving on to Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. The odds here, again, a plus 240 for Paul Craig, which is pretty wild. Jamal Hill, the undefeated 8-0 fighter, coming in at a minus 300 favorite. Tabor, how do you see this one shaking out?
This is a pretty close fight. I mean, I don't understand these fucking odds, dude. Plus 240 for Paul Craig. Like I just said with Maia, if this goes down to the ground, Craig's going to submit Hill.
Yeah.
But Hill's got very good takedown defense. Hill's very, very savvy on the feet. And he's not the biggest 205er in the world. He's kind of skinny and long, like Israel. He's a bit taller. But he's got fantastic striking, fantastic counter striking. He will outstrike Paul Craig on the feet. He just needs to avoid the ground. So I guess I understand why he's the betting favorite. But a minus 300 seems a little wild in my opinion. I guess it's the O. When you're 8-0 and you haven't been beat yet, that just puts so much confidence behind your name. So I'm going to go with Hill. I'm going to go 100 church coin, just to keep the minimum bet so I can keep that all in for Israel. But I wouldn't be shocked if Paul Craig found a way to win. Yeah.
Well, it was impressive. His last win was over Ovince St. Peru, OSP. He knocked him out in the second round, and that was just back December 5th, 2020. So, there is a lot of hype behind Jamal Hill here. But I like Paul Craig, man. I think in a lot of ways he is underrated. He's a guy that kind of people forget about. And he's had some decent wins. Obviously Shogun Rua. He submitted Antagulov. And then in 2019, there obviously was the draw that he overcame with Shogun. And his last loss was all the way back in June 2019. He got KO'd by Alonzo Menafield. But outside of that, man, he's put together a few wins, a few submission wins. I'm going to go Paul Craig here on the upset. I'm going with a lot of upsets today. I am putting 100 on, I'm putting 100 on Craig for the upset win.
All right.
How do you see the shaking out, Gids?
Honestly, I'm going to stick with Paul Craig. I don't know a whole lot about Jamal Hill, to be 100% honest. I did watch the OSP fight. It did kind of feel like OSP was kind of over the hill anyways. Like, it felt like he was on his way out of the UFC. So, but Paul Craig just beat Shogun, and I love Shogun. I will always love Shogun. I will never not love Shogun. So I have to go with Paul Craig.
All right. All right, so let's talk about the prelim main event, the last fight that we'll talk about today. Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell.
Dober.
How do you see this one shaking out, man?
This is a great fucking fight. And actually, odds that I agree with, minus 130 for Dober and plus 110 for Riddell.
Yeah.
This is a great fight, dude. This is a pick'em fight, in my opinion. They're going to stay on the feet. They're going to bang. Whoever gets caught with the first biggest right hand of their life is probably going to go for a takedown and maybe eat something. This is a coin toss, in my opinion. I'm going with Riddell because those city kickboxing guys, they just lost a close friend, and I forget his name, but the good amateur fighter that fights out of there passed away recently, so they're going to be extra motivated with that. I just have to go Riddell. I think the Aussies are doing well, and ever since he's moved up to 155 pounds, he's looked fucking fantastic. But Dober's good. Dober is a very, very good fighter, and yeah, he just got dominated by Islam Makhachev, but I wouldn't be shocked if he came out and got the knockout as well. I mean, it's going to be a great striking matchup. This is the fight you want to watch leading up into the pay-per-view because people are going to watch this fight, and it's going to be a fantastic one, and they're going to want to go, I'll fucking pay $65.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing. Here's my pick here. I'm going to go with Drew Dober here. The only two guys that he has lost to is Islam Makhachev, which who doesn't lose to that guy? He went 3 rounds with Islam. And then his last fight that he lost outside of that was against Beneil Dariush, who just dismantled Tony Ferguson. So, I mean, this kid is good. He has impressive wins over Marco Polo Reyes. Alexander Hernandez is the one that stands out to me. Just last May, KO'd Alexander Hernandez, and we have seen how good Alexander Hernandez has looked as of late. So that fight only continues to look better and better for him. I'm going to go Drew Dober here. I really like Drew Dober. I think the odds are great here at a -130. I'm putting 500 church coin on Dober for the win here.
All righty. That seems like a good pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go Dober as well. This is the perfect main event for the prelims.
Yes.
Like Tabor said it. Like this, to open up with this, to have these two just go to war, like this, Dana nailed this prelim But I'm going to go with Dober, and I'm going to go with a first round KO. I think this is his time. And honestly, he just looks too scary for me to pick against him.
Yeah. I like him here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
It'll be a great fight.
Interesting looking individual.
Yeah, you could say he looks very
white,
Southern.
yeah, he doesn't look very.
Jesus, guys, he's a good looking guy. Come on, man, that guy's so fucking jacked.
No, he is, but he just looks like a super villain in like an MCU film. Like one of those rich,
like the most
pompous
film they could fucking make.
With Red Skull. He looks like one of those like villains, superhero, super villains, or Red Fist.
No, it's Red
That's
Skull.
bad. Yeah, no, it's Red Fist.
Yeah, no, it's Red Skull.
Whatever his name is.
Red Fist.
This is an MMA podcast.
Yeah, this isn't a Marvel podcast.
Yeah. All right. Well,
before I go, boys, I just wanted to say good job. It fucking sucks I couldn't be there, but thank God for modern day technology. I can still be somewhat part of the show with this preview, get my picks in.
Yeah, thank God for modern day technology where you're in a tin can that's in a tunnel that's 40 floors down under the fucking earth, in the crust of the earth. So we're glad that modern day technology is able to bring you back to this show today. Thank God.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because it's over cell phone signal. Maybe next time we do something like this, we try doing it over FaceTime or something. Maybe the audio will be better.
Yeah, the audio will definitely be better if we do that.
We'll just put Tabor's
set up
face
your
on the
mic
camera.
or something. Yeah, that would be fucking hilarious. Just
zoom in on just the phone.
Well, we have 4 cameras now in the studio, so we could do that. That'd be pretty funny.
It's an option. It's an option. Well, boys, thanks for filling in for me today. I appreciate it. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I was fine last night. Last couple days I've been okay, but bro, like no fucking joke. This pneumonia hit me bad a couple days ago. I legit thought I was dying. Almost went to the hospital. Couldn't fucking breathe. Been hacking up so much fluids. My lungs are just completely full of water. Fucking sucks. And yeah, it sucks I couldn't come in, but I'd really hate myself if I gave you guys this shit. It's not fun.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't want it, man.
We hate you too.
Yeah, I would hate you too.
Yeah,
I actually would probably discontinue this podcast because I would probably die myself. So may you rest in peace, Tabor. And when I say that, rest in peace for the Fight Companion this next Saturday night. Are you kidding me?
What a transition.
Live here on the Church of MMA podcast. Guys, we are going to push very hard for 1,000 subscribers here. We are like 50 subscribers away in this Fight Companion. You guys got to tune in, watch the fights with us. It's a lot of fun. We do some drinking. We get silly. We talk about crazy topics. Guys, please tune in and tell your friends to subscribe. We're so close to 1,000. So we want to thank each and every one of you.
I don't give a fuck if I have to show up in a hazmat suit. I'm fucking there for that Fight Companion. I don't care if I have to call in and I'm just annoying you guys in my tin can under a bridge the entire fucking SC. I'm there.
It's a tin can in a tunnel 40 floors below the Earth's crust
In a telephone booth.
in a telephone booth.
Yeah, in an underground base.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah,
all right,
no,
well, I'll let
that
you guys
is-
end the show. It was fun talking to you guys, and I can't wait to watch this back.
Hell yeah, dude. Can't wait for you to be back in studio next week. Can't wait for the Fight Companion. All good things. We'll see you later, Tabs.
Later, Tabs.
All right, peace.
All right, everyone. That is the show. Thanks for tuning in. Okay. Did you just rip poop?
Yep.
Rip poop. Rip poop. All right. This is going off the rails, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Check out our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, at the Church of MMA. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Let's hit 1,000 subscribers. Get that community page. Go get some church merch like this t-shirt.
merch!
Teespring. This is the Church of MMA podcast. My name is Mason Knight. That is Gideon Mars and Nate Tabor. Always rest in peace.